Hello YouTube, this is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard. I hope you're having a good day, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. And today we are going to talk about the Thunder Wheel. This thing. So let's open this up. So Thunder Wheel, that's just the name I give it. I did that way back probably 12 years ago because I didn't want to hijack Native American spiritual jargon, the medicine wheel. I didn't want to do that. But today what we're going to be talking about is the difference between the Celtic cross and the eight-sided thunder wheel, and why these two represent 3D versus 5D. So we'll get started with that. So what I'm going to be sharing with you is that the four-sided Celtic cross, which is a shamanic symbol. In fact, the original symbol for shaman in the ancient Chinese script was simply a Celtic cross, pronounced Wu, and it meant shaman. And it, of course, represents the four cardinal directions. And as you see here, the four cardinal directions on the medicine wheel show you the four directions. The five elements are associated with the four directions, which means these are the things that make up three-dimensional space. And so you see on the rest of that, the diagonal points on the thunder wheel, there are no elements. Why is that? That is because these are associated with energies that are actually connected to higher dimensions. So 3D, when we are functioning in 3D, we are functioning in a very physical space. And in 3D, as we talked about yesterday, when you are associated solely with the three dimensions, your connection to spirit becomes very limited. And you become, your awareness is that the earth is a rock, and that things don't have any spirit to them. So a rock is a rock, a tree is a tree, a cloud is a cloud. And this is why our science and 3D religion does not see any consciousness in anything other than human beings. I mean, even in religion, they don't even see consciousness in obviously animals that have consciousness as well. They might not be self-aware to the extent that we are, although the truth is they are. They're just not to the same degree that we are. We humans, that is. And so because we are the highest consciousness level within three-dimensional Earth, it can be a very isolative experience. So this is why people believe they're trapped. So if you're listening to me and you feel that you're trapped here on this earth, it's because you right now are only accessing three-dimensional awareness. So in three-dimensional awareness, that's what the cross is for. So again, shamans wear Celtic crosses, priests of many different religions wear Celtic crosses. And that is because on an unconscious level, the message is you go to the priest in order to get balance in 3D. You go to get healing, you go to get some ceremonial, symbolic ritual done in order to have your 3D space empowered. There's a reason why in the Vedic tradition that Vishnu is associated with the preserver. Because Vishnu is actually the incarnation in 3D. People wonder, why isn't Shiva? Why isn't, for instance, Hanuman, who's an aspect of Shiva, why isn't that an incarnation of Shiva? And that is because the only multi-dimensional aspect of the Godhead that actually is believed to have incarnated in three-dimensional space is Vishnu. And Vishnu comes to do one thing. He comes to expand. And he's expanding within three-dimensional space, which you perceive as being able to live your life. So this means from a three-dimensional perspective, we seek out a deity that is going to help us live in 3D. And who is Vishnu's wife? Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth and prosperity and beauty and food and sex and fertility. What do all of those things have associated with them? Three-dimensional life. So for the individual who identifies with their three-dimensional existence as living, nothing wrong with that, we came here for that, then you, like most people, Vishnu and all of his incarnations are the most popular Vedic deities. Whether it's Rama or it's Krishna or Narasimha, these are by far the most popular because people want to enjoy living in three-dimensional space. So the Celtic cross, north, south, east, and west, expands three-dimensional space. The other diagonal directions have to do with higher dimensions, and we will talk about the significance of those in a little bit. So let's talk about on the thunder wheel. By the way, if you're new to my channel and this is all new information for you, shame on you. Go to courses.thunderwizard.com and you can see my books, which include Thunder Shamanism. I talk about this. I talk about the thunder wheel. You can go onto the channel, the free YouTube channel, go to the playlists, and you can listen to me read my books, Thunder Shamanism, and you can hear me go into depth about why there's a difference between the four cardinal directions and the four diagonal or spiritual directions. So, if you have done that, then I'm going to be filling in some more blanks because I have a higher awareness now. Now, when I wrote that book, I was merely making logical conclusions. I did not understand the depth to which these directions actually had to do with connecting with higher dimensions. So, in order to help us understand that, let me get rid of that for now, and let's bring up, let's see, where is it? Hopefully I can find it. Where is it? It should be way up here. 5D thunder wheel. All right, there it is. All right, so you see this here? We've been talking about this. I want you to look at the shadow beneath the funny looking cube. What do you see there? You see a thunder wheel. You see a thunder wheel, and there is literally an arrow pointing to each one of the 8 directions. And that is because what you are looking at is you are looking at the shadow in 3 dimensions of a higher dimensional geometric shape. So what's above it is called a tesseract or a hypersphere. Excuse me, a hypercube. Forgive me. Hypersphere, that's a whole other thing. Hypercube. A hypercube is a cube that is a cube in a higher dimension. So we can't comprehend what that strange looking thing actually is in 3D because we're in 3D. We can't comprehend it. We can only point and guess to it. But we do know that the shadow that it would make in 3D is in fact an 8-pointed thunder wheel. All right, so you've got that. Does that make sense? We all on that same page there? And then you see above you the thunder wheel that we've used. So you see that is the same shadow. I mean, that is a representation in 3D of this shadow down here. All right, so why this is important. So first I want you to just look at the four directional thunder wheel there, north, south, east, and west, where the 5 elements are, and earth in the center. And what I'd like for you to imagine is what would happen. You know what happens if you go north, right? If you just go straight north and you keep going, you're eventually going to get to the North Pole. Same thing if you go south. You just keep going south on the globe of the earth, you're going to end up going to the South Pole. So what would happen if you decided to go northeast? You would go up sideways like that, and you'd curve around, and guess where you'd end up? The North Pole. So from a 3-dimensional perspective, these diagonal directions are not about 3D physical space, because if you follow them on the top there, on the 2 sides of water, you have northeast and northwest. All of those, if you follow any one of those 3 lines, you will end up in the exact same place at the top of the globe. You will end up at the North Pole. That means that from a 3-dimensional perspective, northeast and northwest only serve to go north. What does that mean? It means that those directions are not part of 3-dimensional space. Same is true with the southern, the southeast and the southwest. Same thing. They are symbolic to us in 3D. And if you've read the book and looked at all the other, watched the other many videos when I've talked about the 8 directions, you will see that the north represents the void from which all things come as they come into 3D. So that is the entry point into 3D that has a connection to 3D. The east represents your ego. So an ego is something we have to have in 3D. On a spiritual level, people kind of misunderstand it, but people seek to get rid of their ego. That's true. You are going to need to get rid of your 3D ego to have a 5D ego, which will be different. But in order to get to 5D, you got to drop the 3D. But in 3D, you have to have an ego, and that is the eastern direction where you see ether. In the south represents your passion. It represents the full manifestation of your ego, which also represents destruction, because once you reach your highest expression of yourself, the only thing left to do is then begin to descend, begin to recreate yourself. So the south is 3D because it's the full expression of the ego. In the west, you have the air dimension. That represents as you die to your 3D ego, you learn how to relate to others. So that's why the West has to do with fertility, because fertility is relationship to others. You can't procreate without relating to another human. You can't, you can't function unless you have a relationship. That is the West. So that is a 3D expression as well, a one-to-one relationship. The reason why that's interesting is because on higher dimensions, you can have a one-on-one relationship with an infinite number of people all at the same time. In 3D, you can't do that. In 3D, you can only talk to one person at a time. In other words, you can't have conversations. You can talk to a group of people, but they all have to shut up and listen to you. But imagine that every single one of those people in 100, the group, each one of them talking to you simultaneously and you being able to have a one-on-one conversation with all 100 of them. You can't do that in 3D, but you could do that in 5D. So you see how the West is a one-on-one relationship or your relationship to the world. And that is 3D. So those are the 4 directions. And those represent 3D. If I go north, I'm going to go north. If I go south, I'm going to go south. If I go east, I'm going to go east. If I go west, I'm going to go west. But if I go northeast and northwest, I'm really going to end up going north. If I go southeast and southwest, I'm really going to end up just going south. Now, let's go back to this. Let's go back to this picture here. So the reason why all of these, you can't see my pointer. The reason why all of these, there's all these lines in this shadow is because those represent the points of contact for all of the, the right angles that come together in the cube. When all the right angles come together in a cube, you end up with those things. If we were to just have a 4-dimensional cube, I'm pretty sure we would just have a cross. We would have the shadow of that would just be a cross. So this 8 pointed wheel represents the doubling of a cube. So it's twice the number of right angles coming together than a normal 3D cube. Why is that important? Well, it means that each one of those diagonal directions, northeast, northwest, southeast, and southwest, those are actual directions that you could go in an infinite number of, you could go on that direction infinitely and you wouldn't end up in the same place. Like you do in 3D, you go northeast or northwest, you're just going to end up in north. But in 4D and above, if you go northeast and northwest, that is an entire dimension in and of itself. And so that means, when we go back here to this 8-directional cube, it means that when we go to the northeast and we deal with that, that is an entire dimension. As our ancestors called it, it was a world. It was the realm of the Aesir. So when you face northeast, you're not facing northeast on a 3D. You're tapping into a dimension in higher dimensions, at least 4D, 5D, that actually goes into an infinite world, an infinite universe of its own. And in that universe, the beings that live there are what we call the celestial gods. You go to the southeast there. Southeast here, you have the dwarf home. This is the realm of the subconscious, not the unconscious. Those are 2 different things. This is the realm of the subconscious. And in the subconscious, the dwarves represent the human mind in its capacity to create and manifest in 3D. That's why the dwarves have magical powers. If you go facing the southeast, in 3D, you'll just end up going south. But in 4D and above, if you tap into that direction, you will find an entire infinite world. And you will not end up just going to the south. It's its own realm. And in that realm is the power of meditation, the power of intention, the power of manifesting and creating your desires. If we go to the southwest is known as the underworld. That is an entirely infinite world in and of itself. When you face southwest, I don't know if I said northwest, when you face southwest, in 3D, with your intention, you're actually tapping into that entire infinite universe known as the underworld. This is the deep unconscious. This is the realm that we go to in order to work through all of our attachments, all of the things that we are unable to process emotionally, all of our regrets, and all of our deep transformative lessons. And it is also the realm of the recently deceased. So that is the realm you would go if you wanted to connect to your mom or your grandmom, or even if you wanted to connect, let's say if you wanted to go, 30,000 years and connect to the first humans. You could go into the Southwest and connect with them. I've done that. So it has to do with the past, obviously. And then we go to the Northwest. That is an entirely independent, infinite world as well. And this is the realm of the light beings. The light beings that look upon us and guide us. These are our higher selves. These are our spirit guides. These are angels, guardian angels, bodhisattvas, the elves, whatever words you want to use. So I wanted to bring that out because the practices that we are doing here, thunderwizard.com, even at the lower levels, when you're doing any of the eight-sided, using the eight-sided direction wheel, and there's plenty of stuff even on the free channel where I give you rituals to do and I explain, how to go through that clockwise. This is why this brings power to you. Because when you bring power from higher dimensions, it gives you the ability to do magic. This is why all magical traditions cast a circle. They don't cast a square. They don't cast some of them do. But I mean, if you want to do high level magic, you don't just do a Celtic cross. You cast a circle. Because the circle has all of the 8 directions in it, which means you're going into higher dimensions. And so the Northwest and the Northeast, and the Southwest has to do with the Dharma and the Karma of the soul. The Dharma, the Northeast, represents your highest manifestation of yourself, which is the gods. When you face, actually the Northeast is the original direction for where you would put an altar. In fact, if you don't know where to put an altar, if you haven't gotten an astrological reading from me or from one of my astrologers at astrology.thunderwizard.com, if you have not gotten one of those readings and you don't know where your altar should be based on your chart, just stick it in the Northeast. And that is because that is over the Southwest, which is the underworld. You do not want the beings of the underworld to come up into the middle world here, because then you'll end up living all of your worst nightmares, because that's where all of your nightmares live. They live in your unconscious. You want to keep them there. So only in meditation, when you go into your unconscious, you work through them, but you don't want them coming out. I made the mistake once of doing a ritual because I was experimenting, and I released things from my Southwest into my life, and I didn't get haunted or anything, but my life was miserable. My marriage was miserable, and it was all my unconscious garbage. So I had to go, okay, so I had to do a ritual to put everything back into the Southwest and have the Northeast do its job of keeping a lid on that, which is exactly what it does. The Northeast is the highest heavens. The Southwest is the lowest hell, which is your unconscious. And so that has to do with your karma and your dharma. These things are not in 3D. You will not find your karma in 3D. You will not find your dharma in 3D. Your dharma is your purpose. Your karma is balancing out the imbalances. Don't get all bent out of shape about karma and sin and punishment and all that stupid nonsense. That's not what it means. It just means, if you have negative karma, it means you got to balance out some stuff within you. It's not a big deal. And the line going from the northwest to the southeast, this has to do with your ability to manifest and your ability to understand from a higher perspective. So this is, one has to do with birth and death, which is northeast, southwest. And the other one has to do with other lives that you have, that you will live, other powers that come from dimensions outside of yourself. It has to do with inspiration, because the southeast has to do with manifesting your intention, and the southeast and the northwest has to do with inspiration that goes beyond lifetimes. So if you want to tap into information that is beyond this life, that will connect you to your future lives, you can work with the light beings. In fact, the light beings are simultaneously in your past, your present, and your future. So they are the best place to go for advice. If you want them to give you information, you face northwest and you just simply ask, show me what is in my best interest. And they will tell you. And they will always tell you something that has to do with what is best for you at this moment and how that is also best for everyone else. Why is that? In 3D, you're all by yourself. It's the narcissistic expression. There's nothing wrong with narcissism. Narcissism in and of itself is necessary to function in 3D. When we use the word narcissism in a negative way, we're really talking about the mental illness of narcissism, which is something else. But in 3D, we have to be narcissistic because we are isolated here. And that's just the fact of the matter. But the light beings are in a higher dimension. They are simultaneously in all timelines, and they are simultaneously in all times, past, present, and future. So when you come to them, wherever you are along the timeline of your life, and you ask for their guidance, they can see from like above, they can see where you're going, where you came from. They can see all the possible things that are going to happen based on the choices that are in front of you. And so they can see when you make a specific choice, how that's going to vibrate out and not only affect you, but affect everything else in the cosmos. So they will always give you information that has to do with you as well as everybody else. And that's because that's where they live. They live in that place all the time. That's why they know everything about you. That's why they're your higher self, your guides. And anyway, that's a very interesting scenario that they represent. So, if you want to go back, if you're watching this, it'll be archived. You can go back and watch it from the beginning. And if you want to take notes, you can. So you have a better understanding of what you're dealing with when you work with the Northwest, the Northeast, the Southwest, and the Southeast, and why these have to do with things that go beyond 3D space-time. Why they are the spiritual directions, whereas the North, the South, and the East, and the West are the physical directions. They're spiritual because they're not directly manifested in 3D. They're only hinted at. The truth is, what makes human beings aware is not their primate past. You know, these things on the side of my head tells you that I'm descended from a monkey, because these are the kind of ears that monkeys have. We don't need these. We don't need these things at all. We'd be fine with just a hole in the side of our head. But our animal ancestors needed this stuff to be able to, what was that? Hello? What? Oh, a noise. What? Oop. We don't need that stuff anymore. So when you have true spiritual consciousness, that consciousness is coming from beyond the 3 dimensions. So if you're a human being, you have tendrils, as it were, reaching out into these other four directions all the time. Based on how much meditation, how much energy work you do, and how much self-examination you do and live not just for yourself, but truly know how to live for all conscious beings, then that will strengthen those tendrils that go out into those other spiritual directions, which really don't have any connection here to 3D. All right, so anyway, we could get into more specifics about why each direction does what, but now when you see me doing this stuff, let's see, let's get rid of this. And when you see me doing, where is it? You see me doing this stuff here. It just happened. You see me doing that stuff, you have a better idea of why those movements actually, because you can see that the other dimensions in that Merkaba, because that's what you're working with. You're actually physically drawing out a Merkaba in different ways. So you're pulling in energy from other dimensions. That's what makes this thing so spiritually as well as energetically powerful. And that is why when you do all the stuff that I teach, you face north and you go on clockwise direction, and Odin, Vili, and Ve, and all of that. Now you have a better idea of why that gives you so much power. If you want to understand more of that, you can, of course, read the books or listen to me talk about them on the free channel. If you want to actually learn the practices, which in my opinion are more valuable now than ever for the human race, I think this is something that every human being could benefit from, because it will allow you to go into and pull in the energies from 4D, 5D, and above. I think, especially the spirit fighting, I've come to the conclusion at the moment that that actually is pulling from 6D, from the sixth dimension. And at some point I'll explain to you why I believe that. But without a doubt, if you go up here to thunderwizard.com and you subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Challenge, the stuff that I'm teaching you there, the Lightning Qigong, will in fact tap you into 4D and 5D. And that is going to be essential for us to be able to make a clear shift into the 5D shift that is in fact upon us as we speak. So I'm happy to take any questions if you have any. If you have a question, you can write the word question in all caps and then share your question. And if you have a feeling, you can share that. Those are really the only two things I want. You do anything other than that, there's a good chance I might have to psychoanalyze you. Anyway, I'm happy to hear any of your questions, whatever they might be. So let's take a look and see what we got going on here. We've got Paradise Unlimited, honest feeling, centered and present, noticing. Did you put that in all caps because you want to do more than give a feeling, or is that your feeling that you're noticing something? Noticing the spiritual growing more spiritual, and noticing I don't like where this part is going. Noticing narcs becoming more narc. Well, why are you wasting your time about that? That's like saying, I'm really enjoying this beautiful garden. Let me walk into the bathroom. Oh, it smells like crap in there. Let me walk in there again and smell how bad. Oh, boy, that's really awful. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't give you, this is what I mean. Honest feeling, great. Noticing, now your ego is going to get involved and you're going to tell us how spiritual you are because you can see the narcs. It doesn't serve you to go there. It doesn't serve you to notice them. It doesn't serve you to watch them becoming more narcissistic. Why are you not taking that same effort and putting it into watching yourself become more spiritual, watching other people, looking for the other people who are becoming more spiritual? Why aren't you putting that energy into that? We could have a long time experiencing and uncovering that. This is your projection. You see narcs, guess where it comes from? When you point a finger, you got 3 fingers pointing back at you. It means this is coming from you. It means you're seeing your own narcissism. That's fine. Own that. Don't project it on others. There's never going to be a shortage of people not where they need to be. Right now, there's no shortage of narcs. So it's nothing spiritual or unusual to see more narcissism around. Focus on where we want to go, not where we don't want to go. I hope that didn't hurt your feelings. Again, that's why just feelings and questions is the best way to avoid me coming down on you. Vincent.thunderwizard.com says hello, and he has a website because he is one of my Vedic astrologers. You can see him on his website, Vincent.thunderwizard.com. You can read what he's got there in the chat. Zarelath has an honest feeling. I led, so lead is spelled L-E-D, just to let you know I'm a stickler for spelling. That is actually the present. You actually wrote I lead. That's not what you meant to say. You meant to say past tense, led. I led, L-E-D, my first public new moon ritual tonight. That is honest. I mean, that's awesome. That's not a feeling. You've just given me a fact. But I'm very happy for you. You led your first public new moon ritual tonight. Friends and strangers have seen your Aruda, and I have leveled up. There isn't, Zarelath, there's no feeling in there. A feeling is an emotion. I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm excited. You didn't put down one feeling in there. So when you don't put down a feeling, it means your ego's involved. That's okay that you have an ego, but the whole exercise of writing down your questions and your feelings is to get you out of the ego. What does the ego do? It nails you down in 3D. And that is something that you should have choice over. So that's something to be aware of. When I come at people who dump their opinion and I start, psychoanalyzing them, what I'm showing you through object lesson is how people are unconsciously and pulling themselves down into 3D. And that means that they're not choosing to do it. So let me share with you the difference between a 3D human and a 5D light being. 5D light beings some of them can choose to slow their vibrations down and manifest in their physical body in 3D. But they can also choose to disappear out of 3D anytime they want. They can walk through walls. They have choice. They have evolved to a place where they can choose when they want to bring themselves and nail themselves down, weight themselves down. When you dump an opinion, it means you don't have any control, which means you're that much further away from going into 5D. So this is why when people come on here and they got to dump their opinion, you'll find out there's always some kind of ego aggression involved. They either want to agree with me and get me to approve of them, that's ego, or they want to oppose me and show how much they know more than me. Again, that's ego. And when you do it, when it's not something you're choosing to do, it nails you down in 3D. So Zarelath, I really would have loved to hear the feelings about that. You led your first public new moon ritual tonight. I feel amazing. I'm self-conscious. I'm happy. I'm scared. Though that's would have been a feeling. And then you would have been in a place where you were malleable, not pulled down into 3D. Got it? So again, you've been on my channel long enough, you should know. A feeling is a feeling, a statement is a statement, an opinion is an opinion. All right, here's somebody I don't recognize and they don't know how it works. On my channel, if you want to make me happy anyway, you write the word question and you share an honest question, or you write the word feeling and you share an honest feeling. Anything other than that, as I said, I'm going to tell you how that need to give your opinion on the chat is actually binding you without your power. It means you're powerless over your ego. You understand? Those of us who are trapped in 3D, we are powerless over our ego. We want to get to the place where we have power over our ego. That means you have the ability to share a feeling, not share a feeling. Share an opinion, not share an opinion. You are conscious when you're about to say something. Is it coming from your insecurity? Is it coming from your desire to connect? Is it coming from your need to battle your dad or your mom and you're unconscious? Most people, almost all humans, are completely powerless over how they continuously lock themselves down in 3D. And you can see it here in the chat. Again, that's why only questions and feelings. So Chimarenga Composer says, oh, this is a question. So welcome to the channel. Look above you, you see honest feeling in all caps. So when you have a question, write the word question in all caps so that I can see it. Otherwise, I just pass by it because it's just noise. So you're new to the channel, you didn't know that, now you do. And that's so that I can see your question in the future. So write the word question in all caps. Not the whole question, just the word question. You say, is the knowledge of music, astrology, and other knowledge systems which feel like you instantly understand and master come from the fifth dimension? Sometimes it feels like you were meant to know. So Chimarenga, you're obviously talking about yourself. You formed it as a question, but the truth is what you really want to say is that is your experience. What you really want to say is, and I can tell you're a musician because you call yourself a composer. You say music, astrology, and other knowledge is something that you feel comes to you instantly, you understand it instantly, and you master it. And what you want me to do is tell you that that's coming from the fifth dimension. And so really, that question really is about your ego. What do you want me to say? If I say yes, have you really learned anything? I've maybe confirmed a feeling. You might feel better about yourself. If I say no, that's not how that works, then you're not going to feel good. You just asked me to kind of build you up and, bolster you and put you on your pedestal. You're asking me to help you put yourself on a pedestal. And if I say no, that's not what happens. I've knocked you down. I have no interest in knocking you down, and I have no interest in that. I'm okay that that's your experience, and it sounds like a beautiful experience. I don't know that I can answer that question. Obviously, I think it's obvious to everybody that some of these things are coming from the fifth dimension. Don't you think so? I think so. What else? Sometimes feels like you were meant to know. So what you're saying is you believe that your knowledge of music and other things is coming from higher dimensions that you were destined to know. I don't have a problem with that, but it's also, what if you already knew it? What if this is stuff that maybe it's not coming from 5D? Because I want to, forgive me, again, this is why it's, what if this is something that you've spent many lifetimes mastering? You came into this life and music came to you instantly, astrology came to you instantly, other things come to you instantly. That doesn't have to mean that it's coming from the fifth dimension. That could mean that you've spent hundreds of lifetimes learning this. So it means that you've earned it. So on the one hand, you're special because you worked hard to earn it. On the other hand, you're not that special. It's not that 5D beings are tapping you on the head to give you what you've never had because you're a special person. Maybe it is, I don't know. My experience, the more that I work with those beings, is I've come to the realization that pretty much everything I experience in my 3D life comes from previous lifetimes. Even the negative, really sad, painful things I've gone through is really just karmic balancing out. And the knowledge that I have is stuff that I've had, in previous lifetimes, and I'm tapping into that. So, does that mean we can't use 5D energy to tap into those things? By all means, I think that's definitely something we can do. Anyway, I'm not trying to give you a specific answer to your question, because I don't find anything wrong with the idea that you're getting this stuff from higher dimensions. I don't like the feeling. It feels egotistical to me, because it sounds like you're setting yourself up to make yourself superior to others who aren't getting that. I like the idea that you earned that. You worked for it and you earned it. And in this lifetime, you were just born into this lifetime, and this knowledge comes to you instantly. That's because you spent maybe hundreds of lives learning how to do those things in previous lifetimes. So it doesn't make you any better or any worse than anybody else. It makes you special because you worked hard. And for that, you deserve to have some sense of self-worth for having accomplished that. It's just my opinion. Do with it what you want. I don't see any other questions. Are we going to be done this early? All right, so I'll give you a little chance to write some questions or share some feelings if you have any. And in the meantime, I'll do a little business. So, it is now Saturday, August 27th. And just today, I refunded somebody who signed up for the Warrior 90-Day Challenge. I refunded them for this month because you get charged at the beginning of the month. You also get charged up whenever you sign up. So if you sign up at the 5th or the 10th of the month, you get charged for the month of August. And I leave it like that. But when you're in the last week of the month and you sign up, I will refund you for this month because you're going to get charged in a few days. What does that mean for you? It means that you can get started today. If you go to thunderwizard.com and click around and subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Challenge, the Lightning Qigong, you can get started with these practices that connect you to the 3 spiritual energies that we, all humans, either have or look to learn in spiritual practices. The first one is Qi, or life force energy. And that, of course, is Qigong. Qigong means breath work or energy work. So that allows you to tap into the life force energy that is surrounding you in plants, in the air, everywhere in our 3D we have life force energy that we tap into. And this will allow you to raise the vibration of the cells of your body. Again, this will just give you greater consciousness, health, and awareness. Then we have Kundalini. Kundalini is the energy of not life force energy. Many people make that mistake. Kundalini is the energy of conscious awareness. So when you do any practice that raises your Kundalini, it raises your human ability. Your monkey brain actually gets an upgrade, and you're able to see things from a spiritual awareness perspective. And then there is the third energy, which I teach, which I don't believe you can find anywhere else publicly. I mean, it's possible, but the people that I know that teach the third energy, most of them you won't be able to find them if you go looking for them. They have a very small number of students. And this is the Shin energy, the lightning energy that surrounds the Shen, the soul. This lightning energy is the most powerful energy we have, and I believe this is a 5th dimensional energy or above, might even be 6th dimension. And this energy gives you the ability to go beyond 3D in many different ways. And I have, to my knowledge, the only person who's unified all 3 of these energies, Qi, Kundalini, and heart lightning energy. I'm the only person that's taught all of them together. And when you just simply go up here to the 90-Day Challenge Lightning Qigong and you click subscribe and you go and press play and you do the exercises as I've taught, you're automatically tapping into all 3 of those energies. And all you have to do is talk to anybody who's done them, and they will tell you how incredibly powerful and life-changing they are. So, all right, I gave you guys some time. I did the business. Of course, you can go to courses.thunderwizard.com to see all of the other things that I offer. If you want the highest level energy, in my opinion, on planet Earth, in the history of planet Earth, go to maushan.thunderwizard.com. All right, no more questions? I guess we're done. That's it, my friends. Thank you so much. Happy Saturday, if it happens to be Saturday wherever you are. I wish you all the best. I love you, and I want nothing but your greatest happiness. If I've done or said anything that was challenging, offensive, hurtful, know that it's coming from a place of wanting to help you as best I can, and don't take it personally. That's it. I wish you the best. I will see you guys all next time. Take care of yourselves.